Welcome back to the last game of the day. It is Astralis versus Vanir. One of the last shots for Astralis. Vanir needs this one if they want to secure their position on the playoffs. It's easier for Vanir than to Astralis.
Yes, for sure.
For sure.
Like Astralis have got a rough schedule.
And we've already talked specifics about this match,
Yes.
right? For Astralis, they have the hardest schedule coming up from all these other teams. And, you know, this is possibly one of the easiest matchups they'll come across, which is like really surreal to say, because it's still Vanir who's been looking very good, but then they got the likes of X7 coming up, they got the likes of JDXL, like you got some really strong teams you're gonna have to play against. And it starts today. If you want to build up that momentum, at least you're starting out with one of the milder teams. It's kind of like just eating spicy food, you know? You start out with something that's a little bit spicy, you up the scale a little bit, then another one until you're just eating.
All right. With this, well, the thing is, with this allegory, it's like, which countries consider which spicy? Like, you go to...
I'm Danish.
Yeah, you go to Italy. Whereas I come from, say, the UK, where curry houses occasionally add chilies to curries. And, like, you go, all right, what is a medium to you? Well, a medium to me is, like, I don't know, riddle. Where you look at some other people, a medium to me is, like, I don't know, Nuriki, right? And, like, that level of skill, it's easier, but it's still a really hard
I'm going to level
really
with you
hard
both before we jump into Champion Select. I'm from Portugal, so our medium is like X7. So
yeah.
Get better, kids.
Right,
Okay, Astralis Talent versus Vanir on the Champion Select.
To set it up as well, like Astralis is coming in as an underdog. That's the story we're taking here. From the side of Vanir, they're not completely set on playoffs just yet, but taking wins here, I mean, would be pivotal in securing playoffs. And because of that, they just need to stick what they've been having success with so far, which is just play for your bot lane. Kevo, Quickset, they've been popping up like absolutely monstrous every time. And I think Astralis talent down towards their bot side with Chrisberg and Vendel, they've just not showed up to the level we've expected.
No,
So do you play for the top and mid for Astralis?
Attack bot. You still attack bot, because I still feel like these... We've seen them rely on Chrisberg. Like, we've seen lights of what it could look like. And I'll tell you what, I'm really not a fan of seeing him on Jhin. I want to see him on hyper carry. So, like, getting that Jinx, having a comp that can probably play around him. And I'm not just talking about getting to mid to late game. I'm talking about actually utilizing the early game as well, because we just never see that from Astralis, really. And
Jinx is a good start, but I do need to be more responsible with the lead. That's my thing, is often he can get some good CS leads, he can get some good gold himself, but then he kind of doesn't really toe the line properly about when he can step forward aggressively, appropriately, and he needs to be able to do that better against a team like, as you said, Kevo and Quickset will punish that, and Noodle as well has been such a monster for Vanir, where Taxa has struggled a little bit more, honestly. He's not been particularly consistent. He hasn't really been as proactive or as synergized with his lanes as I think a lot of people were hoping. And if it does turn up to, or come down to, there's the phrase I was looking for, to a bot lane 2v2, if it ends up having mid laners and junglers roaming down there, I definitely favor Vanir off the strength of how Noodle in particular has been looking.
For sure. Okay, so do you think, since I was banned in this instance, Gwent is banned in this instance, so we don't get to have that like immunity around the junglers at this point in time, which just allow shorter range or longer range champions like the Jinx to function very well. So coming in with the shorter range of the hyper carries we see with the Ryze and with the Aphelios, you can already set yourself up on the side of Astralis for team composition, which goal is to aim or outrange rather the carries now. So going for something like the control mages, like the Victor, and potentially even the Lee Sin from the likes of Tag, or Lee Sin's banned, so Hecarim's fine here as well, would be great. So here's the thing. Support or get that mid lane right now.
I feel like a Thresh pick here for Wendell's got to be the obvious answer, although Lulu has kind of fallen a little bit off priority, but is a very strong option with a hyper carry, so you've got lane control, you can get shove. That does set up for a win condition.
Yeah, and you know, it's a huge takeaway. Quickset's most played champion, I do believe, so far has been that Lulu paired up with
That's a fair shout, actually.
But, I mean, if we want to take it back to who Quickset was feared on in the past in the Nordics, it was always Thresh. Like, this guy's, that champion was his bread and butter. But with no AD carry or with no jungler locked in, they go for it this time around. And I can see it fairly because, you know, Lee Sin is already off the table, Sentao's off the table, J4 can be a potential, the Trundle can be potential as well, but it's not so good into the Hecarim in that instance. So they're just going for the vehicle immediately for Noodle instead.
You secure the jungle and you allow yourself, okay, we can go for the Nautilus, we can go for the Leona, we ditched the Thresh, you can ban it away, we have other ideas, but in terms of jungler, the pool is getting thinner.
It is a bit as well. Plus, honestly, when you're already into the Hecarim, something like a Viego tends to be better into players that dive at you, champions that dive at you, and you've got a Hecarim that's going to be doing exactly that. if you can force the overdive or you catch the overdive, get the kill on the Hecarim, turn it around yourself with the resets, you can turn around dives pretty well as Viego. It's one of his stronger play patterns, I think it's fair to say. Now we're coming through to this second phase of bans, and pretty obvious that one's looking at the mid lane pool, while Astralis are looking to try and make sure that Quixis doesn't have so many things to pair up this Aphelios with and allow the shove that Chrisberg and Wendell will have to happen without too much pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I like the bans as well coming through. I think Vega was a very pivotal ban in the composition against the short range here. There is the availability from the side of Astralis, because I do believe Vanir is just going for support log on here. They're going to save the top lane card. I think that's only reasonable once you already know what the bot lane is from the side of Astralis. Now, I think there is potential from the side of Astralis you could be cheeky throwing a Cillian in a composition like this from the mid lane as well. Wouldn't be too bad.
Does it have to be a mid lane considering what's been going on in the NLC?
That's a fair shout. That's like just a little seed I'm gonna plant there. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's something that could be good against these champion as well. And when you have a hyper carry, you already have the Hecarim, you have the Lulu. What I do think is gonna happen instead is just Press defaulting onto a control mage. Orianna would be great paired up with Hecarim as well.
Such a good combo, yeah.
So
there it is.
That wouldn't be too bad. And then maybe if you just go for an on the top side, you have yourself secured that weak side. It's going to be harder team.
Why not the Gnar? Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. I think it's in my analogy going for that, lane for the Chrisberg, so I think having that front line would be great for him here.
Yes.
But, I mean, Gnar is still good in a side lane.
You got it called it the first time round. There we go. Of course, Gnar was one
I
of
see that smile. I see that smile.
Play both strong and weak side. It might be Nile that decides, I'll take that matchup anyway. You can certainly play with the range. You can run the whole breaker. It becomes a bit untenable for Ornn a little later into the game, but Astralis have got a fantastic front to back with the hyper carry, with ways to start fights.
Yeah.
It's easy, like bread and butter, obvious ways to play, and honestly with where they're at, this feels like a pretty good option for a team that's often struggled around objective setups and the like. A little bit more complicated perhaps for Vanir.
Yeah, I think Vanir, they have tools to start some engages down towards the bottom side. If you can get a lead for Aphelios, then you put yourself a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of just getting bot lane priority, moving that priority into the Drake pick and start stacking up the objectives. Another point is you have that Gnar into the Ornn, which is Gnar favored as well. So that's also a point of attack. But the main concern for me is that if Vanir are not executing on tools of attack in the early game, then if they go even into the mid game, I think Astralis has a really difficult composition playing into.
I agree, but I will say Vanir have got more options to play in the side lanes. Like Ryze and Gnar should be able to play those side lanes. And when you've got Desiderate, I feel like the 2v2s in the side lanes get pretty nice for the side of Vanir. And I think, considering what we have seen from them so far, I trust them to be able to play the map wider, where I feel like Astralis have often let vision control timings slip the later the game goes. Where it's like, you'll have control of the dragon 30 seconds too early, or slip the resets, and that's my worry.
It's the reason why they've done so poorly. It's true.
It is one of the last shots for Astralis. The window is closing, and Vanir might actually close it. So without further ado, it's time to send it away for Viperun and Jamada.
I've been backing Astralis a lot in the predictions.
Yep.
Someone, right, okay, let me do this. So, some of us have been voting for Astralis weekly.
Yep.
And it's not being Gulborg. I just want to put that out there.
You want a jersey?
I mean, yeah, maybe. Astralis, if you've got jerseys lying around.
If you want a jersey, you can, I'm sure they'll hit you up.
I challenged you on this last week.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm not a trader because there's at least one Dane on the other team. Yeah. That was your defense.
Yeah.
Does it count, Viperun?
No, it doesn't. This is the thing. So, basically, 2 weeks in, my predictions are already in the toilet. Jamada, I think yours are kind of down there as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You did a lot of offering Eminem lifelines.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know what happened.
And then they started winning.
Yeah.
And then you swapped back.
Yeah.
And then they lost. And then you swapped back, and
they've not been returning my calls.
I mean, it's a bit awkward.
Yeah, it's a shame. But let's talk about this game.
Nah, do we have to?
Well,
we probably should. We're on to the Michael! Okay.
I called him Michael in week 1.
Okay.
And then onwards, he was just known as this really vile world destroyer.
People have been chatting a lot about Michael.
Yeah.
Bless him, he's
just an innocent duck.
He's just doing his work. He's just doing his job.
He is.
Of being a duck, I suppose. I don't think he's actually got gainful employment. But these players have gainful employment as we're on to
so.
for the final game of the day. Astralis need this win
Yes.
to keep things up in the air.
Yep.
Vanir need this win because they want to be getting good seeding, and because winning here, I think, will probably put them into playoffs formally and officially, beyond any doubt.
Yes.
Because Riddle lost.
Yes, exactly. So Vanir winning here it would just 100%. It would put them into
Simple as.
yeah, it's simple as that.
They're in,
Off
but
top
we
of my
don't
head.
know where.
We just don't know where they will land.
That being said, though, because we've
Yeah.
seen teams, Bifrost look pretty decent today,
Yeah.
but Vanir could be looking to maybe push up. That it's a case of getting it today. We can put it out of our minds. We know what we're doing. Let's now play for seeding. Whereas Astralis are, we need to win all our games, and even then, maybe not, as Wendell actually might be called out, but it's only Quicksef who gets there, so is going to back away. Is there anything, before we get into this game, well and truly and properly, that you want to quickly run over? I know our analyst did an excellent job of talking about the composition.
Yeah,
Is there
no,
anything you want to highlight?
I think they did a great job. I think they highlighted just about everything you really need to. Astralis, it's about the team fighting. 2 IMs on, right? You need to just get to that point.
Yeah.
Relatively unscathed. Ignore the pause, of course. Or the reconnect issue fixed in the future. Noodle flashed.
Michael!
Hi, Michael.
What was that?
That was a dolphin. Can we take a look at the top jungle right now? Because Noodle is trying to aggress onto Taxa, and I believe, and I'll ask the observers to double check this, that he flashed over the back of Baron Pit Wall to make it to this blue buff very, very quickly to interrupt Taxa's
Doesn't have
farming
flash
path.
anymore, so...
Yeah, so whilst this looks quite awkward, I guess the argument is you're interrupting Hecarim from actually being able to do his
Taxa
job.
doesn't have a buff yet.
Yeah, Taxa doesn't have a buff yet. And also the other thing is, look at the minion waves in both the solo lanes here.
Yeah.
Mid lane, Sahira, actually at the moment wouldn't have first move, but I think for a majority of what the play whilst that was happening, that was what's going on. Yeah, Noodle just flashed over the wall. He was going straight for the blue buff. I think they had a ward that Taxa was going to be starting on the wolves, and each wanted to go and interrupt that. And not only did he eventually succeed in his mission, he delayed Taxa so much that Taxa's only got 2 camps. And I would say this right now, if Noodle felt like crossing over through mid and interrupting what's happening here, the game feels very doomed. Yeah?
It'll be buff to buff to buff.
Shut up. No one's even gonna get that. Do you know how sad that is?
doing it!
He's gonna cross over to mid.
Go,
Calm
Noodle,
down.
go,
Okay,
go, go,
calm
go.
down. So I think Vision was actually collected there by Krez. So Krez knows that Noodle's
Yes.
coming over. So that's it. Wolves the only
been
thing that
chased
lost.
away.
So he's been
Taxa's
chased away from the
getting
buff.
nothing.
He's not gonna be able to contest with the Skull Crab because Sahira's based and Kevo and Quicksef don't have priority. It's Astralis with bottom lane priority. So Taxa's still gonna get, of course, the bottom lane Skull Crab. But when you do the mental maths on it, it's what? 4 camps actually. What was Taxa's 4th camp? He got wolves on both sides, a Skull Crab.
Raptors.
Oh, he took raptors.
Started Raptors.
Oh yeah, apologies. I'm blind. He started raptors into wolves, and then that's where the farming path was interrupted. But the jungle camps
far
at the
behind.
moment, yeah, he is far behind. When you think about it like this, the jungle camps for Noodle are going to be worth a little more. Noodle's clearing, if I'm going to be like super technical for a second while I have a chance to.
Okay.
Taxa's camps are going to cycle out quicker now.
Yes.
Because Noodle's only been attacking buffs.
Yes.
With the exception of the Grump. But the Grump on Taxa's side is now going to respawn sooner. So it's delayed Taxa for now, and it's going to delay him for about another 2 rotations, give or take, if my maths is correct and I'm doing the 5D chess stuff correctly when it comes to the jungle. But for the immediate future, Noodle is going to be ahead 1-to-1. And let's see what he can actually do with that lead. Vanir very clearly came into this with an early game plan to deny the opportunity for Taxa to just have, a very easy going early game. But when you talk about tangible, results from this, the answer is not that much.
Well, this is the thing, right? Because there's the side of Noodle getting ahead, in quotation marks. There's the side of Taxa being forced behind. And then it's a question of, right, neither of these junglers has actually contributed to the map state yet, because they've both been busy interacting with each other, which is something that a lot of people don't always recognize in saying, this jungler is an early game jungler. That doesn't necessarily mean he's getting into lanes and ganking. This means that sometimes it's a case of just going in, denying the other jungler, making sure that it's a 4v5 later on, because Hecarim is so far behind. But whether Noodle's going to be successful in doing that and what the rest of the map state is going to be crucial, because we haven't talked about the other lanes really. Things are looking pretty good for Astralis across the board. Top lane, as you'd expect, is kind of rough because it's all into a ranged or mostly ranged champion. But past that, Astralis seems to be holding out fine. It's what Noodle can do to put this lead, in, again, quotation marks, to use. And right now that looks like just getting a bit of priority and grabbing the dragon.
Yeah, okay, so there's finally the tangible result of the early invades, I suppose, if you want to...
Yeah, but Mountain Dragon, they could have got that anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a solid chance that they probably could have gotten this one anyway. Again, you talk about Ryze now, should have priority in the mid lane for a majority of his time laning there. On the bottom side, you know, it can be forced occasionally, but it's going to always be very difficult with Jinx and Lulu on the bottom side, and now Taxa. Let's see, what's he looking for here? Any kind of information? Potentially he wanted to go and invade the bottom side of the map with the hero on a reset timer. Reasonable time to go and do it. You have the bottom side pushing in as well, so I think that was the goal, but once he sees Noodle's trail, the camouflage trail on that walk, he knows that he's in the area, probably taking the buff. No use trying to go for the invade. Then at that, looks like Astralis will just go for the reset. See whether or not they look for some kind of Herald play in a minute's time. But yeah, I mean, all things probably going okay in Astralis' minds right now. I think losing that early dragon probably to be expected.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. That's just going to be about iron tracking, and I think we just look at this game until it starts to matter for Astralis' point of view, from Vanir's point of view, because right now, I feel like they really need to press the issue somewhere. They have the ultimate available for Noodle, Heartbreaker is online. So Viego's skirmishing power just got a lot scarier.
Yes.
And now I want to try and see him use, you know, any one of these lanes. He's got set up across the board, realistically. It's just about having the information to make sure that the gank sticks and isn't countered by a different member of Astralis. Because right now, Taxa should be cresting over the level 6 mark very, very soon. I imagine this Scuttle Crab, maybe, would... No, still a little bit too far away. So Scuttle Crab blue buff. Yep. And he should hit level 6. And then that's when, you know, Taxa can try and look for some place somewhere when needs be. Oh, he thinks 6 now. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a lot of XP from that Skull Crab, okay.
Moving towards mid lane, Zahira and Quickstep are there. Is going to be spotting out that red ward, and we'll be taking that one down in short order. Everyone's moving towards this mid lane because, of course, Rift Herald is up. Zahira has to flash over the Chompers as Chrisberg has made his way to the mid lane as well. But it looks like Astralis are moving up and potentially trying to get the priority in the start on this Rift Herald. But Taxa immediately backing away, seeing how many members of Vanir are there. This is going to be close. In the top side, it's Gnar who comes through first. There's engagement quick. Nice on him onto 2. Caught by the shockwave, though, as we see Zahira moving on forward, looking towards Wendell. Goes low first blood with the Heartbreaker. Astralis trying to run away. Taxa called out for the second. Crest going to be followed through. Caught up with the anchor. Knocked away. Caught for the third. It's all Noodle all the time as he picks up a triple.
And as a Vanir fan, you're rooting for this team. I don't know if there's a better player to see to get a triple kill right now than Noodle. When we see Noodle get these leads, he very often can take over the game with them. A triple kill on the Viego. He's going to have a ton of gold, actually, and we'll check that after this replay as the initial engage comes through from Crixef, and just a massive ultimate. The Shockwave is great at dissipating some of the aggression, but realistically, it's only landing onto Crixef, and this is when the Heartbreaker reset starts to come down. The slow from the Glitter Lance, taken by Noodle, keeps Taxa in place so that the Heartbreaker into a Blade of the Ruin King can secure that kill, and another dredge line on to this Orianna. Onto Krez, Noodle finds his mark with the charge into another Heartbreaker reset. 3.8k. He had a recurve bonus inventory, so my best guess is he's rushed the Blade of the Ruin King. Of course, with the itemization changes, you do see a lot of different builds. Now, as a Viego enjoyer myself, I have recently been testing some of these builds. I think there's a couple of very viable ones. Blade of the Ruin King Rush into this composition, it's audacious, but I like it, and I think it's very Noodle. To be honest with you. And I think the fact that the Iron Spike's so hard, you know, when you think about Blade of the Ruin King champions, they all spike incredibly hard once they pick the iron up. So if you're talking about the context of this game of, okay, we need to get the ball rolling, he's picked up a 10-minute Blade of the Ruin King. Nobody on this map can skirmish this Viego. So wherever Viego goes, expect bodies to drop. But again, it's going to be about Vanir actually finding these opportunities and trying to force the issue to ensure that Noodle can get into these scraps and use this advantage that he has now.
we've seen, so we talked about Vanir wanting to, they needed to do something, right? Which was massively important for them. They needed to get the ball rolling, and they just got a triple kill on their Viego, who was the person that we were watching in the early game saying, you're getting all the stuff done, this is where all the action is, what can you do with it? Triple kill, great stuff. Ruin King and now Boots as well, so he's going to be able to get into fights a little bit easier. And we're saying, look, Vanir need to push the issue. Every time they push the issue, is it just elongating the amount of time that they have to continue pushing the issue? If that, I said pushing the issue a lot in that context.
Yeah.
So essentially, they got a lot. You said they need to get something done. They got something done. Are they needing to? Are they still looking to get something done?
100%. Just so it keeps the window as close to closed for Astralis for as long as possible.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, I think no matter how you slice it, once the Astralis team composition comes online, things will start to get difficult for Vanir. Vanir's champions, admittedly, they're all actually pretty good at team fighting, to be honest with you. But I think if you're talking about team cohesion, the way that the team combo interact with one another, it just looks a bit smoother for Astralis on paper, I think. And some of the execution floor is going to be a bit difficult to reach for Vanir, but it's definitely not unattainable.
I think looking at that charge on that Rift Herald, I don't think Kevo actually got any gold from it, looking at the animation. I think it all went on to Viego, so...
The very easy way to check this is how much gold does Noodle have in his inventory? Yeah, okay. Yeah, he got all the gold.
Which is fine. Again, that would look like a mistake because Kevo was just forced a little bit away from the tower.
At the end of the day, Kevo has almost got enough gold to actually pick up his first item, I'm pretty sure. And Noodle, giving him more gold in the position he's in, I don't think it's a terrible idea. Nilay's on one item as well on the top side, so he's got the whole breaker advantage. Now they're going to try and force play on the bottom side.
Here are the bus driver looking to get the dive going. Chrisberg needs to be careful alongside Wendell, but the teleport comes through to play a little bit. And now Tax is en route. I don't know if I like the chances of Astralis trying to re-engage this play, but they do effectively defend themselves.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they get Krez's teleport. And remember, this is still before 40 minutes, so that's a very lengthy teleport cooldown. That's not going to be up until around 16 minutes. Oh, no, sorry, I beg your pardon, 18 minutes or so into the game now. It depends on whether or not Krez brought inspiration with him to have, of course, Cosmic Insight. So, yeah, it's honestly a fine trade for Vanir. You trade Realm Walk, which is going to be up in about 2.5 minutes' time now. And you can just go for the repeat play, and this time, Krez won't have teleport. Still going to be on cooldown. And he should be A-okay with that one. So Vanir, they forced the play, but it's kind of pushed away from them. They got 3 minutes now until this Hextech Dragon spawns up. I think the most important thing for us to track in this moment in time is just going to be item completion.
Okay.
For this third dragon.
Yeah.
And who actually has what. Right now, relatively even across the board. The only major discrepancy, really, it's Noodle to Taxa. Naturally, though, as the Hecarim, especially in a comp that's got a Lulu and an Orianna in it, he doesn't necessarily need items to function or to play his role. Yeah. All he really needs to do is kind of just charge in, cause a lot of chaos on the back line, and, you know, give Astralis an opportunity to have Chrisberg open up, have Crest find a really strong shockwave. So it's not the end of the world that right now Noodle has an item lead, but it just means they have to watch out for Noodle and ensure that he's not being enabled too hard by the rest of Vanir.
And isn't resetting, because if teamfight you give up a kill, suddenly things become a much more difficult prospect, especially if Tax is going into the backline and getting blown up. Then Noodle can turn around and be the one running in. Yeah. And he's going to be able to jump out of that one with a lot more damage.
That's the only scary thing about Tax being, you know, far behind them.
Yes.
Is exactly as you say. He dives in, doesn't achieve much, dies. All of a sudden, even though Noodle might be, you know, siphoning and possessing a weaker champion than himself, he's given himself the opportunity to just go back in and misplace somebody before turning back into Viego anyway. So, yeah, that's definitely the scary thing about Taxa being behind right now. Good pickup up. Looks like they're just going for the bottom play.
Going towards Kevo. The ultimate will not land. It will only get the fear, but that's taking Kevo in the direction he wants to have gone anyway. And Taxa, blue ghost, blue ultimate. Noodles coming here to blue up health bars. Goes towards Wendell, half health, needs to dive away with the Heartbreaker. As teleport coming on through. Vanir are looking to commit members. They're looking to get this fight going. Astralis actually unstoppable, but the ultimate lands on to do. Taxa needs to be careful. Back away, first gonna fight. Goes over as Wendell pulls Nille on the side, looking towards Krez, who's hanging around the ultimate from Chrisberg. Only hits on the Kevo, but doesn't get too much work done. As Astralis lose a member back away, this tower will be forfeit as well. Objective bounties are available soon, which will be some solace to Astralis, you have to imagine, and another tower will fall.
but it just doesn't look great for Astralis right now. Vanir, their gold lead is ballooning significantly, 5,000 gold ahead. Dragon's up in 1 minute's time. They should be able, Vanir, to even have enough time to pick up this Herald and then maybe still play for the Dragon. I think it would be a little bit over audacious, over eager. And Noodle, I think, reads this, drops off this side of the map, and it should be Astralis' objective to take. Noodle gonna reset. I think it's the right call. Vanir across the map gonna reset, pick up their items. I was about to call it Eternal Winter because I've been playing too much TFT, but it's Everfrost. Picked up for Zahira. And it actually looks like we're gonna see a tank ion come out of Noodle. Which one it will be, a tank mythic rather, to be very specific. Which one that will be is up to his discrepancy. I would imagine probably Chemtech.
Gives that a little bit of extra engagement.
It just gives you a little bit more access to the backline, if any. Personally, I would have loved to have seen a little more aggression come out. Something like the Divine Thunder, something like a Triforce even, I think. In a game like this could have worked out if you're trying to assassinate some of the backline carries as a very, very fed Viego.
Yeah.
But I think bring some sustainability to his build right now. I think you can kind of understand the thought process behind it. And uncontested on this Dragon. I think, you know, the handshake has been had for this Herald and Dragon, and now tacks up, pathing up towards the top side, wants to drop this one down. You would guess more times than not. And Vanir reading the map relatively well, not sending anybody up to the top side to get dove. Nile's on the bottom side, but there's no tower to hit on right now, so this should just be a tower surplus trade for Astralis. A lot of pings going on the map right now, particularly from the red side.
There's
It's in the river.
Fight going on. Wendell's gone.
Yeah.
Just gets caught out by Quickseth, and then Noodle was
Chrisbug.
there. Chrisbug taking a whole heap of damage. Doesn't get sniped out though with the flash being used. Tower does go down on the top side, which would be kind of nice for the gold situation as Vanir chasing down Carlson. Nille just putting so much damage and goes large, so can't chase forward. Noodle actually then cut down the Rift Herald in the top lane to make sure that the second tower doesn't go down to give another bounty over. But Jamara, talk to me. So, Astralis, their composition comes online at some point.
Yeah.
I was thinking exchange in the bot side, actually exchange in the mid side as well, and that's going to be kill onto Tax, so he's too squishy, cannot survive the damage.
How does that even happen underneath the tower like that? Realistically.
Or should they have been there defending at that point?
I'd have to see it from the very beginning. Obviously, we cut to the middle of Taxa kind of being murdered. I think Vanir, if they want to force this tower, they can. They might respect a little bit. It seems like that will be the case. Don't want to get shockwave, don't want to get chased down. Just
Got top lane for free as well, so...
Yeah, and it's Noodle that picks up the gold yet again. And Noodle probably has enough gold to pick up another item on his reset, if I had to wager a guess. Let's see what it is. I'm very curious. Iceball, or Icefire, or Frostfire.
Frostfire,
Yeah.
But you got there in the end.
Thank you.
Good thing you're not a League of Legends analyst, isn't it? That'd be embarrassing if you were.
Horrible if I was.
Awful. Just terrible. But let's look at this very quickly. So we've kind of been drawing this line of Vanir need to continually be doing stuff. Astralis come online eventually. Things look good for them if they can survive. First things first, we've got Vanir playing for Dragon's Soul point.
In 3 minutes.
Dragon's Hextech Dragon's Soul gets picked up.
Yep.
Do we take that narrative and throw it out the window?
Yeah, I think Hextech Soul is so powerful. I remember, and it's not really been altered too much in what it actually does to the Soul. Back in preseason, when the dragon who we shall not name was still in the game.
Yeah.
Any combination with that dragon and its Soul, when collected, had a win rate of like 90%. And just put this into context, when a Dragon Soul is collected, and this is coming from solo queue stats from quite a few patches ago, but I believe that they will still be relevant. The other dragons, with the exception of Hextech, which had a little bit of a higher win rate, in contrast, was around 75-ish%.
Yeah, about
with
that.
With a Soul 1, or with a Soul collected. That team would typically win around 75% of the time. Chemtech Soul, the
The one that we don't
the
name, we
forbidden
just
one.
did, but it's fine,
forbidden
don't worry
one
about it.
was at 90%. The Hextech was about 80, 85. So Hextech Soul is actually still very, very strong. The raw stats it provides, I think personally might be the best in the game.
Okay.
The flat haste and attack speed, when stacked up 4 times, I'll take that. Potentially even the only dragon I wouldn't take over is the raw stats of Inferno.
I like Elder Dragon personally.
Elder Dragon's quite good. Axa is getting absolutely...
Zahira's just putting out the damage. We haven't really spoken about Zahira this game because there's been so much going on, but he's having a really solid performance.
And not only that, this is the hero on his rise.
Exactly.
It's not even something that's really been mentioned too much today. if you are a longer-term viewer of the NLC, you will know Sahira is very much a Rise enjoyer and also a Victor enjoyer. And typically what you ended up seeing a lot of teams do versus Vanir was remove Rise, remove Victor, and then maybe a third champion if they were feeling it. And then all of a sudden, it felt like Sahira was a bit less of a threat on the map compared to his other champions.
Yes.
This split, it's not quite been the same. He's shown a lot more flexibility and teams have dropped off that. And on top of that, there's other very important picks to be removing away, unlike when that was occurring.
Going for the
Krez.
Realm Warp. Krez is in a lot of trouble and Severa call out by the Shockwave, but it does not matter one iota as Sahira runs away. And I want to just highlight Sahira a little bit quickly, just in terms of the grand scheme of things. Remember, this guy was in Division 2 last year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Comes in, qualifies through to the NLC on a different roster, which then became X7. So, goes on to a different NLC roster. Has been playing so well, has had such solid performances on a Vanir side who, frankly, a lot of people weren't rating going into the season. And now we're talking about them a couple of weeks left of the season. Hey, this could be the team that's going into the top 4. And we were talking about this way back in like week 2 and saying, well, ease schedule, blah, blah, blah. They had to play everyone in the schedule, and they're still here, still fighting for it, fighting for Soul Dragon as well. Up against Astralis Talent, who have had the opposite fortunes this season, all things considered, down near the bottom.
Here on a flank, maybe.
Here is on the flank. He hasn't got ultimate available, but he's got the blast going to get into the pit if he needs a quick option.
He can also take the gate if he has to go back to his team.
This is true. He can dive in behind, but it won't be the best position as the two teams' lines of scrimmage fighting over the final dragon. Astralis cannot afford to let this one go down. Vanir, this would likely be the closing curtain for them if they can secure it themselves. But Carlson going in, wants to get engaged. So here's the one call out, flashes away, quick stuff in the backline. Nilla is there as well, but he's not angry yet, he's not mega yet, as Carlson could be in trouble. That's the first kill of the fight going on to Quicksev as Noodle has to back away. Vanir are fading away into the jungle. A second one taken down. Astralis Talent grab themselves the dragon, deny Soul for now. And because they've got all 5 members, they're going to move towards the Baron.
Yeah, they can do it. I think they can. I think the health bars are a little bit too low from the Vanir side, and Astralis, they get the team fight they need. I think crucially, they lose this. That's
it.
I feel like that would have just been the nail in the coffin for them. They have the 2 items on Krez. They have 2 items on Chrisberg. This was the time that they needed to fight. They managed to claw together the resources to be able to contest Vanir at this dragon, and they did it well. Vanir, I won't say the lack of engage options, but only having Quicksev as kind of that engage as the only option, whilst the rest of the team is kind of being dove. It feels kind of bad when Quicksev can't get any follow-up on this engage, and from then, Chrisberg untouched, pretty much. Just absolutely minces through the entirety of Vanir here.
Carries can't do anything. They're just completely zoned away. As soon as they back away from the Hecarim engage, the Ornn ultimate comes through, and suddenly you've got Kevo and Sahira like, well, Sahira's half health and hasn't got flash, and Kevo isn't anywhere near the fight because he's not got the range to get involved. Oh no, I guess we lose these 2 objectives. Bounty's on top of them. So now we have to go back to the question we've been asking all game. Vanir, this is the first time they've taken their foot off the pedal. Astralis, now, are they in the driving seat? Is this a winning Baron? Not necessarily, you don't win off this Baron, obviously. Is this a Baron where they get the lead, or is this just to stabilize?
This is a Baron to stabilize. I've just taken a look. Oh, okay, I couldn't see that Chrisberg was actually on the tower, so I was wondering why there was no gold outline on the bottom tier 2, but it's because it was on the bottom tier 1 instead. So yeah, objective bounty is still there. They have just fizzled off.
Yes, with that tower.
So for now, this is a bit of a stabilizing dragon and giving themselves more time. Vanir, losing that dragon's big, it might hurt them.
Slows them down, surely.
In terms of their, in terms of their capability to have a lot of agency. Here as Moonlight Vigil will be called down with the Gravitum to slow Tax's advance. It's a tool blown at effectively no cost, and now Astralis, they can aggress onto this mid lane tower pretty much for free. Sahira's on the bottom side pushing in. Actually, so is Nille on the top side, so they have potential for a pincer here into the mid lane. Astralis, yeah, doing the right thing. Back away, both sides. Don't want to get engaged on by a Realm War at this moment in time. And I think they can leave happy for now. They still have a minute left on the Baron, but I don't think they should be able to accomplish too much more. Vanir lose a lot of momentum off this. And, I mean, take a look at the items. Now, Chrisberg, off the back of that fight, was able to finish up an entire 3rd item. He's in half an item up on Kevo at the moment.
And it's an ornament.
And it's an ornament.
Typhoon secured. Having quizzed you on the ornaments yet. This game's been all action. But this is the thing, though, because now we've got an interesting dynamic where Vanir, they're still ahead.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, the gold still looks good for them. Noodle is still an absolute monster. We've got Zahira, who has picked up his third item as well, and that tier is stacked out for Fimbulwinter. So he's going to be doing a lot of damage, but also very hard to take down. What's the next move for Vanir here? What do they want to be doing? Are they just waiting things out and going for that next dragon, which spawns in 2 minutes' time?
Yeah, I think the safest bet for now is to wait for that next dragon, but I think they have to approach the fight differently. I think if they try and front to back, like, well, they didn't necessarily try to front to back. They got front to backed on.
Yes.
But if they allow themselves to be in a situation where the fight occurs as a front to back, I don't think they're going to win anymore. I think right now, Chrisberg is more than online. Taxa, Carlson, they're tanky enough to do their job and soak up all the damage from Sahira and Kevo for the meantime and just disrupt them from dealing damage. I think Vanir have to find backline access one way or another, whether it comes from Nile teleporting in and finding a flank and getting a massive Naro, whether it's a hero with a Realm Walk to try and enclose Astralis into some kind of choke. They have to do something. They have to find the access onto Chrisberg, onto Krez. Because if they don't, they are just going to lose this game if they try and front to back. They can't quite do it as well as Astralis can, in my opinion. And what's going to make trying to find backline access really hard is that there's the Lulu in the game as well. Going to have to deal with the Wild Growth, going to have to deal with Polymorph. It's going to be a very difficult task to manage, but I think it's the task that Vanir have at hand. And if they can try and take control of the river and be the first ones in the river, I think that definitely helps them. But the issue is, Astralis' comp kind of doesn't care. It's got enough engaged tools to kind of just go. And even right now, it just seems like Astralis is just going to retake control themselves. And yeah, that just always walking into objective second, it always feels bad regardless of how you want the team to fight. And now Astralis actually could find an engage here because they are pincering onto the mid lane.
Noodle needs to be careful. He's fighting his way through Carlson, but will get zapped up now. In the bot side, there's also a fight going on as Sahira might have been caught out, but they're looking towards the Viego. Carlson is chasing forward, looking for the knockout. Won't be able to find it, but does get a little bit of damage. Where's the ultimate? It's going to be dodged away from it. It doesn't matter because Jinx secures the kill.
Relay in the top side.
Now looking to catch members down. There's a teleport coming on through to defend. It's Carlson up against Nilla. I think this tower will be forfeit as Vanir looking to fight the rest of Astralis. The damage comes down on Taxa is pretty big. They've got themselves on the Chrisberg. He's trying to find away. Sahira's doing damage. Chrisberg goes golden, but can they take down the Jinx? Yes, they can. That is huge.
They're surviving.
And now they're going to move forward. They haven't lost a member in this engagement just yet, as Quicksilver is trying to look towards Wendell. Cress will move down to the side. He is going to be able to get away.
Get the soul.
Get the soul. This is what Vanir need. Are they back on track?
They might be, this because the soul is so powerful in the combat stats that it provides, and obviously the AoE slow. Nile almost. If he felt like flashing, I think he could have maybe had presence of mind to recognize Krez, had a stopwatch in his inventory. And Kevo, unfortunately, the Moonlight Vigil doesn't find Chrisberg as well. Otherwise, I think he just dies so much faster than he does. But brilliant stopwatch to try and buy some time. The Shockwave as well finds Kevo and Sahira. Astralis do everything they can to deny what feels like the inevitable from that Fog of War engage from Vanir. Not able to survive it, unfortunately. They lose Kevo, and once they lose Kevo, that's it in this particular engagement, because Vanir have the rest of the numbers around them to go back to the dragon, pick that up, and secure the Hextech Soul. And now with the Soul, I think Soul bonus, of course the mini stack shift with the slow, I think it's going to be pretty oppressive in terms of, you know, well, doing its job, slowing people down, especially you think about there's not too much mobility between the Jinx and Orianna. It's effectively, you know, buffed up by the spells of basically just Wendell and Dissonance, and you kind of hope that's enough. But in terms of mobility in the traditional sense of dashes and
they're not able to get away from slows as effectively.
Exactly.
Of course, you've got the Typhoon on the Jinx, who's going to be able to get that small dash and the flashes when they're up, but they're not up on these two key carries. So now we've got to ask, Baron is up now.
Yeah.
We're going to see an engage coming through. Chrisberg going to go low, going to be taken out by the flanking Mini-Gnar. And you know what, Vanir might be able to do something here. They're looking to chase onto members of Astralis, but a slow from Crest will disengage. But with the Jinx gone, surely that's a Baron attempt at least.
Has to be, but did you just see the damage that Crest did? Nile, I think, still had the isolated Hullbreaker damage or resistances if Vanir aren't careful, they can get caught out by a killer combo of Shockwave and an ultimate from Ornn, so they have to space themselves out. The damage is coming into the Baron. It's going to drop for sure.
Nile's not angry at all, so he's just going to be trying to take away as many. That Baron is going very, very low. It's 2,000 as the call of the Forge God is used. It's going to be secured by Noodle, 5v4, and now on Vanir, they're the ones looking to get engaged. Sahira's taking his team towards the enemies. We'll be able to get the slowdown, but it's only onto Carlson. But the Ornn, he's a big target. They're moving forward towards Wendell as well. Taxa rides back through and gets some damage down onto the Rise, who just doesn't die. He's so tanky as Vanir are moving forward, giving this Baron empowerment to all of their minions. We've got Sahira going back, but has teleport. Can Vanir finish this one up?
They should be able to. The dredge line goes wide, and so the Spectral Wall. Noodle, he's in trouble.
He's going to be caught out here, but Nana comes in. That's a massive Nara ultimate. The damage is huge. Vanir, it took them. They stumbled, they faltered, but they did not die. And breaking into the base, they'll be able to secure themselves a place in playoffs. Astralis talent, it was close in the middle, but they just couldn't finish it.
It looked so damn good for Astralis once they picked up that Baron for just a brief moment, but Vanir take the fights when it matters, and Nile steps up to the plate with a game-winning Nara ultimate to secure themselves their position in playoffs, and that's one less position available.
Yeah, I mean,
to Astralis as well. And you have to think about it like that. I mean, not that they were ever going to take Vanir's position, but now you know that's one more confirmed lock-in.
With that result, Astralis, when you look at how Eminem also, the position they're in, realistically,
you're just looking at Riddle.
The last place is Riddle's to lose and Nariki's to gain.
Yeah, that's about it.
Pretty mathematically, there can be other situations. Like, we're not saying that that is the only thing that can happen. Initialize would come in and smack us with an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
But, I mean, Vanir looked so good. We're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, we've got the post-show. We don't have, we'll be...
No.
We'll be chilling in the green room. We're going to have a great time. Maybe have some snacks. Be good. Maybe. Good stuff. But, of course, the rest of the team will be here for the post-show. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Welcome back to the NLC. And there we go. The last game is a wrap up. Welcome back to the post show. Initialize and go. Are you okay, Goldberg?
I hang on, Goldberg. I can hear a voice. I can't see him because I think he's been sat still for about 10 seconds and his passive is activated, and therefore I can't. Where's he gone?
You know what? No, I was going to blind dart you away. I mean, Teemu is a great champion. I'm just going to say this. He is.
Is he?
You play Evelyn. I mean,
That's true.
okay.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of room.
Name 2 professional players that play Teemo competitively.
Didn't Sunday
Oh,
once do it
do
in
you
the
want to go
LCK?
to
They
NA?
actually
Do you want
locked
to
it
go to NA?
I said 2.
Okay, Chico as well. Chico played Teemo in the mid lane with Gunblade.
Okay.
Yeah, don't test my
in.
knowledge.
I'm pretty sure, like, back in the LCK at some point, like, Sunday accidentally locked it in and they had to play with Teemo top and it was all.
They actually did.
And we had high, and then we had
But
perfect on the EU as well.
moving on from greatness, we should go for more greatness. Vanir's interview for today. It is Quickset after a stellar victory. Hello.
I'm not Quickset, but hello.
I got
Oh, no.
Chris Berg. There we go. Welcome to the post show. How are you doing, Chris Berg?
Ooh, we just lost, so not the best.
It is not. And I would like to talk to you about the team because it's really hard now to actually move on in terms of playoffs, understandings, like looking into the playoffs. It's really hard for you guys. How is the team looking into this situation? Obviously, it's really hard, but I want to know from you, like your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to take it one game at a time, and I think we all know that. So it's just about showing that we can play like in scrims, and then yeah, like the situation is the situation, but we have to be as good as we can be.
As soon as we got into the middle of the split, I noticed that the team lost a little bit of gas, like commitment in team fights as well. I know people from Astralis have been telling me that on the scrims, things are going smoothly. You guys have the will to fight and all that. But do you believe when the loss streak began, you guys lost that gas to go in competitive plays in terms of NLC?
I think we became so focused on winning that we forgot how to win, and we just we give so many openings, so many free kills, and then I mean there is of course sometimes we are not the most aggressive team, especially when we are behind all the time. But yeah, I think the loss streak definitely hurt us. But again, I don't like repeating myself, but the Astralis in scrims is not the Astralis in officials, so yeah.
Yes.
I mean, do you think this as well comes down to a meta point of view? Because the meta has been kind of stale for a while, but also you as an AD carry used to be like, you know for Kaiser, for heavy backline, the playmaking potential out of it. Is this a meta that the players on Astralis have struggled to get into? Because you speak about scrims as well. Or is it just purely struggling to transition to stage when you finally have games?
I feel like we have, I mean, maybe in the middle of the split there was like a week or two, but now or before, no. I don't think the meta is bad for us in any way. I feel like, yeah, again, the scrims are just polar opposite of what we show here, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, playoffs still in with a very small chance if you can tie it with Riddle, potentially with if you win the next 3, but it's very, very challenging. Maybe looking forward, obviously, to the end of the split and then going on into next split. What are you kind of looking to do with a potentially like a clean slate, a reset at the beginning of the season? What are you looking to do with that kind of future-mindedness, I guess, in terms of trying to come up with a better result next time round?
I mean, from my point of view, it can't really be worse, right? So, yeah, I can't tell you like an exact fix, but I mean, I'm 100% sure it's going to be better than this. 100% sure.
It's going to take some time, and obviously you guys have to get together, understand what is happening with the Astralis team, get some time off as well for everybody to take a breather. And let's see, you still have at least 3 more games to see what happens with Astralis. And I hope to see the team that Astralis is in the scrim. So thank you so much for the interview, Chris Burke, and good luck
Thank you.
through the rest of the games. Obviously, it is really hard for Astralis at this point. They have a lot to fix.
Yeah.
And we keep hearing on the scrims, we are making it. But on official games, it's just not happening.
I don't know if it's a case of too many voices as well, because sometimes
Yeah.
you just see different kind of plays being gone.
Indecision.
Yes.
I think the Herald fight today is a really good demonstration of this, where Carlson's on the top side. A call has surely been made where Crispec still needs to stay on. And then Vendel has started up the Herald, but then they disengage it and they get caught in it, and they just like, the fight is surely not planned, because you can see Shockwave is purely disengational, and it's just, it's a difficult situation.
And I'll also call it that scrims are inherently more volatile. People are looking to push plays, testing,
Yes.
try and play to the edge, play to, limit tests, as they say. And if you are a team that is quite stable, I think, for Astralis, not necessarily the most proactive, but stable, you can punish that in a scrim environment easier than you could on stage, where people are themselves not as volatile. And if you're getting less openings, and then you're kind of getting a bit desperate to find plays and a bit indecisive, as Goldborg just said, then that sort of change in other teams' mindsets actually can hurt you as well, in terms of translating what you're doing in scrims to on stage, because what you're preying on in practice just isn't as apparent on stage.
So is it more than one voice, or the lack of that voice as well? We don't know.
It could be
Maybe
more than
both,
things.
because
Yeah,
even
so-
today, right, they struggled. Like, Taxa was just put behind immediately by Noodle,
Mm.
who did a phenomenal job. And when Taxa was put behind on the Heck Rim, like, not having that jungler just push forward with, really slowed down the entire game plan.
But now pushing Astralis to the side, we should look into Vanir. That was the team that won. So this time I'm right. It is Quickset with us after this stellar victory to put them even further beyond into the standings. Hello, Quickset.
Hey.
Obviously, you're feeling better now. Like, you got this victory, really important for you guys as well. You are on the playoffs at this point. I think it's almost impossible of getting out of the playoffs at this point for Vanir. It's more about the seeding. So where do you see yourself with that team right now? Disregard the standings. As a team, tell me, where do you feel?
I mean, I think we are kind of where we belong right now. I think last time we interviewed.
Some microphone issues with the interview. We'll take a look at them and see what happens.
I know he's a support player.
Fix them.
I know he's a support player, but he really shouldn't be cosplaying Blitzcrank so aggressively in the interviews. Like, I appreciate the commitment, but, it's a bit much.
I mean, we saw Goldberg's stats today, 100% win rate.
Exactly, he's taking after his Danish inspiration. What was your KDA in that game, Bob?
Oh, it was horrible. We shouldn't discuss that.
Listen
Like,
here.
I want to discuss it. Let's go.
I'll tell you this as an analyst right now, okay? And you can all learn from this.
He's back.
Stats. Oh, okay. You know what? I'll say this quickly. Stats does not necessarily define a player. There's always the context. You can use stats in terms of talking about a context
Yes.
about a
The
player.
context
But
helps.
having a negative KD on support can be like he had to peel for the AD carry every time so they could
Exactly,
pop
yeah.
off. There's so many different things. Hello, Quickset.
Hello. Are you back?
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, there you
Right,
go.
the
Okay.
Blitzcrank cosplayer, stop. Good work.
But yeah, where do you find yourself, Vanir, in these standings so far?
Yeah, as I was saying, I think last time you interviewed me, I talked about wanting to get our revenge on Bifrost. We wanted to fight for that third seed. However, best of once, bad games happen. We did some crucial mistakes, and I think losing them made it kind of impossible for us to catch up as well because of the 0-2 head-to-head score. So right now we're just trying to secure that fourth place, and I mean this win helps a lot doing that. So we're very happy. Yeah.
I have one question though. I see a lot of players picking the Nautilus. We just talked about that in the pre-show. He's sitting with 25% win rate with more than 16 games played. Why do you feel Nautilus is not finding the answer to the victories and people are still playing him?
I mean, I'm not sure to be honest. I guess people are picking him the wrong spots. I don't think he's a very good blind pick champion. I think people overrate him a lot because he's very popular in the big leagues. However, for example, this game with the blind pick Lulu, Nautilus is a perfect answer, especially with the comp we have where we want to go hard and get picks, focus on killing one target at a time. Nautilus just fits excellently.
Yeah, quick one as well. Like, in the green room, we were having a bit of discussion about who we rated as like some of the better lane dominant 2v2s, and yours and Kevo's name came up, and I was curious to find out figure out what your thoughts were in terms of where you rank yourself as a duo in terms of the rest of the league, especially coming up to playoffs where that kind of thing potentially matters.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not sure if you noticed on stream, but there was some very unfortunate things happened today where Kev actually DC'd level 1 as the wave was coming.
Yeah.
You saw that.
And, yeah, that kind of put us on the back foot. And I think, for example, in this matchup, I think if that didn't happen, we could look more dominant in the 2v2 matchup. In terms of rating ourselves, I think it's hard to say. I think X7 and Bifrost have the strongest bots. I think OD11 and Kasing are the two best in their roles respectively. And I would say that we are number 3. I think that we are better than XL bot for sure. But other than that, I don't think the level of bot players are very high right now in NLC.
Love the confidence. We'll see that as we go into playoffs. But now it is time to play a game. Are you ready to play a game?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's Pick, Ban, Dodge. So you know the drill. We show a few footage and you tell me if this is a dodge, a ban, or a pick for you. Obviously, you're going to be the first one picking your mind, and then we at the studio will decide if we're all with you or if you have any sort of other ideas. So let's kick it off with the first clip and see what Quickset has to say. Okay, there we have the clip. Okay, so far.
Okay.
Oh, it was a millisecond away from the
Yeah.
flash. Yeah. It is. Oh, I know.
Boom.
Some T-tours coming in hard. Slow-mo as well added. Wow, look at
Ooh.
those effects.
That is a syzygy if I've ever seen one, to quote the Orn item. The planets are all in alignment there.
Okay, as a support, killing the top laner with the Comet, by the way.
I mean, I think this is, from the Jace perspective, it's definitely a dodge. This is a Jace that is not looking at his minimap and is fighting the Gragas under their tier 2 with no info of where the enemies are. I think that's very, very reportable. If he did that in my solo queue game, I would not be happy. So yeah, like that guy needs to look at his map awareness and step it up for the next game, yeah, for sure.
You know, that's the voice of a former coach as well. You can tell he's
I love
rage.
this.
Yeah, no.
And it's something that top laners actually lack, which is map vision. So yeah, I like it. I would say as a support, I love the Comet idea. Like, oh, I survived.
I mean,
And you die. I love it.
I don't know. Are you a Lux connoisseur, Quickset?
Beautiful. I mean, I'll also say that actually that was just like good combo between the Gragas and the Lux, right? Like you managed to get this super fed Jace, get him on the tower, then force him to flash away, and then still pick him up for the ult. That's just nice considering you were ways behind as well.
Okay, Quickset. Comment first. Secondary runes and Lux. Which tree and what runes?
It depends on the matchup. Personally, I'm actually a fan of the match setup that was very popular in the Demacia Cup, which is the Guardian looks, kind of like a tank looks, not that much like full mage, but more like utility focused. That's my preference on looks.
Cheap shot domination. You one-shot those bastards out in bot lane. It's the go-to every time, man. I swear.
Why are you so angry about this?
I don't know. Tell me something, Quickset. Like really fast. Have you ever played on solo queue with Lux and you're like, I'm supporting you and you buy a Mejai's, go straight up for the Sorcerer's Shoes? Have you ever played that support, like Lux support, where you take all the kills, builds Mejai's and Rabadons?
Of course, of course.
There we
Some
go.
games, yeah, I got look support. I'm feeling really confident. Maybe I have a good ADC by my side, and I know that I can go full glass cannon as Gullberg is so fond of with the Comet and the domination and the full AP build, and just completely pop off.
Those are the games we love to see. Okay, there we go. We got the pick. We got him back. We got him back,
I enjoy
Quickset.
that went over my face as well, like
Okay.
a tacit approval of me as well. Thank you.
Second play of the day. Let's see what it is. Is it a pick, a ban, or the dodge? Which one is it? Okay. Saved,
That shield.
I know.
which is interesting. I don't know where to look.
Okay. I mean,
Okay,
I'd
quick
say, from the blue side, this is definitely a pick. Dual played that flawlessly. He ate his ADC just as they were committing on him. Then he re-engaged with the W, got a double knockup, and which is a clean outplay. In terms of the red team, this is completely bannable. This is extremely illegal what you're doing. You are essentially like hard engaging close to their turret when they have a TK. They obviously don't know what TK ult does. This is completely illegal, and I just report them all honestly.
Can I pick Quickseth?
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. That's great. Yeah, Quickseth, you're a real one.
Yo,
Thank you, mate.
Production, can we bring him in as a guest on the
Yeah,
desk?
I
I'd
want
love
this guy on the
This
desk.
schoolboy guy who runs like cheap shot and Lux and doesn't know how to like change his runes on matchup. Like, I feel we could replace him with Quickseth. That's great.
This is the
I was
coach
gonna say,
mentality.
this is the one I'm getting. You're the one getting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure that's fair. Yeah,
I
it's clearly-
love this coach mentality. Straight up to the subject, like, okay, you guys are bannable. You guys have to get vision. Play well, man. Come on. I love this. What about you guys?
Unlawful play. But that was a pick for blue for sure. Like as he said.
Yeah.
Played phenomenally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Phenomenal.
really good Tom Kench play, but yeah, massive overdone.
And I love the
For
Tom
real.
Catch coming back as well. Oh, I love Tom Catch finally getting some spotlight. And let's go to the third one. What do we have? Oh, this is bullying. When you think
Oh,
you had it.
I do that in Wild Rift.
Oh, it's not only one, Goldberg.
the answer is surely obvious.
Did someone in production just not like the business?
Oh, maybe they just liked Patoshka. Let's be real.
That's fair.
Yeah, this one is very simple. This is what we call a diffie in the tiffy. It's a complete top gap. Renekton is running it down. He needs to be probably banned for sure. Fiora, fair play to you. You are gapping him hard and you are 1v9. That's great to see.
Gents, you're all wrong because you misunderstand. It's clearly a dodge because Fiora used W. Come on now.
That's called a riposte.
Exactly, but it allows you to dodge abilities.
You block abilities.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, yeah, it's fair. But if you dodge the
I
damage.
think this is Counter-Strike, yeah? With the
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Look, they
Every
removed
ban
dodge from the game.
initialize and bring in Quickseth. I agree with Goldberg now.
I'm being ganged up on. Not a fan of
Yeah, we need Quickseth. There we go. It's a ban on initialize,
For
and we
this.
lost a member now.
this. Fight back.
Okay, let's move on for the fourth one. I do believe we have 5 today. The last one. So this is the last one. Quickseth. Oh, this is the... I love this one.
Oh my, okay.
Did you not know that?
Yeah, of course I know this. There's
Oh,
someone
okay.
here in NLC that does this kind of things. It's,
Can you be
he's
more
not-
manly?
He's not mentally well, this guy. Like this guy, oh my god. What have I won?
That's
Oh, yeah.
well.
I love it. Quickseth, tell me. What is this? Oh, we lost him. The play was too
He's
awful.
DC'd.
This is a perfect personification of dodge. He dodged the play. He dodged the interview. He
He's so
dodged it all.
questionable, You had to leave.
I'm
Yeah.
going for the pick. I appreciate the cojones required to do that. That is great. Noodle, keep
There
it
you
up.
go. Dodge.
Gonna follow along the lines of quick. Oh, he's back.
There he is. There he is. Are you okay?
The play completely, like, I don't know. I'm so confused. What's going on here on the moment?
So you decide to remove that play from your
mental
brain. Like,
warfare.
okay, yeah. He
Yeah,
deleted
yeah.
that idea of that play. So that is a perfectly banned, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
For sure.
there we go. Quickseth, before you go, what is the mentality for the team for the remaining games?
And what's your day rate in terms we need you as an analyst?
Goldborg needs time off.
I think we're feeling really well. I think right now we are kind of just looking to get over the last games. Hopefully remain in 4th place. And I mean, I think playoffs is a completely different game compared to the best of one format in the regular season. And anything can happen. I do believe we have some good qualities that will benefit us a lot in a best of 5 playoff scenario. But I mean, who knows? Only time will tell.
Who knows? Quickseth, thank you so much for this time, man. It's always wonderful to have you on the show. And I love that coach mentality. I would love to have you on the desk one day.
Anytime, anytime.
Oh, let's make this happen. Thank you so much. Oh, I would love this to be like a reality.
I'm not appreciating people trying to remove me after my first
It's
day
not
on the
so
job.
much you getting removed. You're getting promoted. You're going to be play-by-play on the day.
Yes.
Well phrased, sir. I'll take it, you know.
What we're doing is we're not firing you away from an analyst position. We're promoting you to viewer.
It's
It
just
is,
because when I'm on the desk, Evelyn gets played in the jungle. This is why. You don't want any more of this.
Standard corporate tactics. Don't give them a raise. Just give them a new title.
Exactly.
Call him a
Now,
lawyer.
How did we end up this day? Week 8, day 1. I would like to take a look at the standings. X7 are still away in first place. One more victory and they're good to go. JDXL still fighting it off for the second place. Even though they are in second place, Bifrost is just looking from behind, trying to take that one. Vanir, as Quickset told us, are comfortably on the 4th place, but Dusty are just sitting behind. Riddle are now one step closer to stay away from the playoffs if Noriki are capable of taking 3 additional games. Astralis are looking rough, M&M Gaming as well, and Team Singularity is still looking with only 1 victory.
Yeah, in some ways, this is the scenario that's led to less chance for one of these 7-8 teams to get into playoffs, because Noriki had the hardest time getting ahead of Riddle, right? Whereas if Astralis or M&M tied, they could make it in. Both of them lost today, but at least Riddle did lose, at least Dusty did lose, so there's still that chance available. It's just smaller than it was at the beginning of the day, which we were kind of expecting.
So it's time to see the schedule for Wednesday. What do we have? Astralis versus JDXL, one of the toughest. We talked about this on the strengths of schedule. Noriki versus Dusty. This could be do or die for Noriki. Vanir versus Riddle. If they lose another one, Riddle are in jeopardy. Bifrost versus X7. I love this one. And if M&M loses versus Team Singularity, they are out of the equation. There you go. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Both promoted to viewers. So, with this in mind, it is time for us to say goodbye for today, Week 8, Day 1. I'll see you on Wednesday for Day 2 of Week 8. We only have one ahead of us, so good luck, everybody, on solo queue. Don't feed too much, and I'll see you on Wednesday. See ya!
Bye-bye.